if your own mother didn't recognize you. Instead, she held a baby in her arms and rocked it to sleep, thinking that this was her own son or daughter. According to an article published by Georgina Casey, this occurs in nearly 23.4 million families across the globe. I myself am part of the statistic, having a grandfather who passed away from severe dementia 2 years ago. He inspired me to become a certified nursing assistant at a retirement facility in Fargo. I absolutely love my job, but it doesn't come without heartbreak and stress. According to the Health and Wellness Resource Center, Alzheimer's is a degenerative disease, meaning that it progressively gets worse. It is accompanied by memory loss due to the death of brain tissue, which can never be grown back. It not only affects the individual, but his or her family members and caregivers as well. Alzheimer's is a complex disease, and it is vital to understand its symptoms, stages, and behaviors associated with it. The first thing that you think of when you hear the word Alzheimer's is probably memory loss. This is only one of many symptoms, but it is undoubtedly the most severe. Alzheimer's will affect your short-term memory before it affects your long-term. For example, somebody with Alzheimer's will be able to recall details from something that happened 4 years ago, but they won't be able to remember where they put their keys this morning. Some other symptoms include wandering and incontinence. Wandering can be very dangerous for elderly people who are living alone. And incontinence occurs because of the death of the brain tissue, so that they lose the ability to control their bodily function. These occur in the late stages of Alzheimer's. According to the Alzheimer's Association, there are 7 different stages, progressing from no impairment to severe cognitive decline. As the National Institute of Aging suggests, during the 6th stage is when a person should be put into a retirement home or nursing facility. They revert back to that of a 5-year-old. They can logically reason, communicate, and see everything as through a 5-year-old's eyes. During the 7th stage is where palliative care comes into play. This is simply care for the actively dying. Instead of trying to combat the disease, we instead try and comfort them and usher them into the next life. This end stage is strikingly different from the previous stages. In the early stages, Alzheimer's patients will exhibit things called behaviors. According to Georgina Casey, these can be as simple as pleasant memory loss. For example, I worked with this one woman who I had the same conversation with her every single day. She was convinced she lived in a hotel, and she would come up to me every day and ask me to turn down her bed and order her a bottle of champagne. Now, although this seems ridiculous, in her mind, she believed it wholeheartedly. Some other mild symptoms include wandering, which I mentioned earlier, but these can become negative symptoms when it is exhibited in exit seeking. And most nursing homes have locked doors so that this does not happen. Some more severe behaviors are outlined in a book by Benoit Kumar and Carl Eisdorfer. These include combativeness and verbal assault. Combativeness can result from like biting, kicking, pinching. The resident does not know what is going on, and they tend to lash out. And the verbal assault can result in swearing or name calling, but this is not something that the individual can control. Alzheimer's is an ugly disease, but if we can understand it better, we can cope with it. It is degenerative and progresses through a process of 7 stages. The behaviors associated with it should not be misinterpreted as something that the individual can control. Alzheimer's is a hard disease to deal with it, but if we can prepare yourself, hopefully you'll be able to accept your dear old mother's forgetfulness. Thank you.